Hello and welcome. My name is Saloon and this is the first episode of me going from zero to hero as a tank. And this tank is Blood Death Knight, voted by my lovely viewers. Here are the rules on screen. They are the same as for the Arcane Mage series. Feel free to pause to read them, otherwise let's continue. My starting item level is 502 and I don't even have a two-handed weapon yet. As the rules stated, I'm allowed to use warbound items up to veteran item level, so I equipped 3 veteran items and 4 adventurer ones. First thing I did was the Nightfall dailies and then the incursion. From the dailies I got veteran legs, then a one-hand and a two-hand weapon. From the incursion I got veteran shoulders from the boss and a cloak from the cache, plus I got a champion token, which I bought a crappy trinket with because I still had 400 item level trinkets at this point. Next, I purchased veteran boots and champion gloves from the Undermine renowned vendor for resonance crystals. Afterwards, I did some weekly quests, world quests and got the Siren Isle ring. Thanks to those weekly quests, I had a ton of weathered crests, so I bought 3 enchanted crests to get myself 3 items crafted that capped out at 629 item level. So, after everything I just described, I was at 625 item level. Normally, this is where I jump into delves, but this time I decided to a Mythic 0 instead, because it was the week for completing 4 heroic dungeons to get a heroic raid item. This dungeon was Cinderbrew Meadery, and boy did I struggle. I don't want to show you the full run because we are going to see it on a +2 soon, but I'll say what I've learned from this instead. I never died, which is a big plus, but I came way too close too many times because I'm not using my cooldowns at all. This run also helped me realize that the way my UI is right now won't cut it at all. My health was jumping up and down constantly and I had a hard time keeping track of that, amongst other things. I also maybe forgot to put DK rune on my weapon before going into this dungeon. Whoopsie. So, after the dungeon, I sorted out the weapon and started reorganizing my UI. I moved my health bar more to the center of my screen and I turned on WoW's latest feature, the Cooldown Manager. And by Xelatar's crusty toenails, is this poorly implemented? You cannot pick and choose what you want to track.
What?
I actually had to download an add-on so I can at least customize it, because by default it had Blood Boil and Heartstrike tracked as well. Those are not cooldowns. Are they important? Yes, but I don't want to track them. The whole point of using the cooldown manager would be that I don't have to look for weak auras, but instead I have to use another add-on to make this work. I felt like the biggest clown on earth. The aura tracker can't be customized either, by the way. I would love to be able to add Death and Decay there, so I don't need the weak aura for it, but there is no option and the add-on can't help with that. So yeah, this really concerns me when Blizzard says they want to make further UI changes and restrict combat add-ons in the future, because if this is a taste of what's to come, we are cooked, my friends. Let me know in the comments if you tried out the cooldown manager. What are your feelings and thoughts of Blizzard trying to replace more add-ons in the future? Okay, UI rant over. I sadly did not have time to do more dungeons, and because it was Tuesday night, the next day I had a vault because of that 1M0 got me a champion chest. Before doing keys, I knocked out some delves quickly and did another Nightfall incursion so I could buy champion legs, which I then catalyzed so I could get 4 set. My starting item level before going into the first key is 633. I will be using this Sunlane talent build that I got from Arcane.gg. Both Deathbringer and Sunlane are viable, and I'll be honest, the main reason why I chose Sunlane was purely because this build didn't include Soul Reaper, which is an ability I really hate. The first dungeon I did was a Theatre of Pain +2, and I was quite nervous. Since we had a priest, we decided to skip the first pack, and I knew I have to pull the Bloodhorn into the bosses, but I was very slow and clumsy with it because I wanted to build up Bone Shield charges first. I have tanked before in WoW, but never anything past a +8, and the last time I tanked was in Season 4 Dragonflight as Guardian Druid, and a little bit of Brewmaster in Season 3. I actually mained Blood DK before, but that was 13 years ago in Mists of Pandaria, and this pack has changed a ton since then, so it feels like learning a completely new spec. Because I'm learning a new spec and I'm playing a role I'm not very comfortable with, I'm going to take it slow. Do only +2s this week to see what pools can I survive, where and what do I struggle with in certain dungeons. Theatre is a pretty linear dungeon, and I like to start with the Zab Wing first because I prefer to have Lost Up for God Chop. As a DPS or healer, I never felt the need to pay attention to which mini-bosses are we fighting, but as a tank the spinning blades caught me off guard, and I felt like my positioning was a bit messy. By the way, apologies about the DPS and healing meter, they will show overall through the whole dungeon for this run, but I changed it afterwards. We defeated Zap without any issues. One thing I've been severely underusing is Slappy Hands. On the first big pack in the Gorchop Wing, it would have been incredibly useful, but honestly I've been super overwhelmed by my UI changes and I was focusing on not dying basically. Slappy Hands is probably not the only ability I didn't use enough, but that stood out to me the most. Someone messed up the gas pack skip, so we had to deal with that. I pulled the 2 big adds into Gorchop because I quite like that as a DPS, so I wanted to do this from early on. I was super scared of this boss because if I mess up the chains after a big hit, it would be a guaranteed wipe I think, but we got through it without any issues. We got through the whole dungeon with only a single death, but without a loot. Next key was Rookery, and in typical fashion, someone dies to the frontal. I swear at this point it's a requirement that someone gets sacrificed to the frontal, otherwise our votes will be garbage. On the first boss towards the end, the demon hunter dies and called the rogue out for it. This will be important later. As I'm going to pull the first pack downstairs, this happens. No, please, no, I'm hitting Death Strike, please, no, come on, no.
Oh Lord. Again. Again. Nothing new, nothing changed, same old shit.
Downstairs I did some spicy pulls to see what can I handle. Okay, the first one maybe wasn't that spicy for you, but for me it was a bit scary. And then at the end, I pulled 2 Void Stones with an Ascendant together, and now that was truly a spicy meatball. I was absolutely shitting bricks, but the healer gave me PI and pain suppression, so he seemed prepared. Only the rogue died, which wasn't my fault, but while he was running back, this dumb paladin pulled the boss. So we started with 4 people, then it became 3 because the demon hunter died again. I honestly just wanted to restart the fight, but I rezzed the DH and continued. The rogue said this is the first and last mythic plus, which I found a bit sad. It wasn't a smooth run, but it wasn't that bad either. We even +2'd the dungeon. For now I have not looked up or made routes for any dungeons. I'm literally just winging it, never knowing how the percentages work out, so I'm sure I was overcount sometimes, but I was mainly focusing on straightforwardness in these +2 keys like in this monologue. I did try to skip the patrolling peacekeeper at the start, only to fail spectacularly. I honestly don't know what was I thinking of not mounting up there. On the first boss, I think I did a pretty good job with the boss by keeping him in place while people kicked the balls in and only moved him a few seconds before the coin magnet. The biggest problem in this key for me was towards the end. I had no clue that tanks could get fixated by the bombs. I was in full panic mode, having to dodge fire circles and praying that someone gets rid of the bombs. At one point, pretty much the entire team was down, and I had no choice but to eat one, so I popped Icebound Fortitude and didn't die. We were able to easily +2 this dungeon and received nothing but a few gold once again. Workshop was next. I opted to not pull the whole room. I don't think I ever will because I don't trust people to do enough damage and interrupt everything at the same time, so I'll only do it if someone asks me to. As we were waiting for the first boss to spawn in, I realized there is some mechanic here with the hammers I never paid attention to, so I quickly opened the dungeon guide to read what to do. I have no idea if I did it right or not, but we killed the bosses, so I guess it was fine. On the second boss we vibed because Mr. Elitism Helper hit the box with his circle.
3, 2, 1.
Triple kill!
3, 2, 1.
I'm sorry, but this is the worst add-on I've ever seen. If you really want to see all this information, you can just dig deep in details rather than spam the party with this crap. Other than that, nothing else really happened. This is once again a very linear dungeon. I didn't feel like I struggled with any of the bosses, so let's move on to the next one while the trend of looting nothing continues. Here comes Cinderbrew Meadery, +2 this time. The first pool went a lot better, I would say, although I still think I could have used more cooldowns and slappy hands, but surviving felt much easier. Despite having a weak aura, I also still sometimes forget about keeping the bone shield charges. The first boss went down with no issues. The second boss terrified me a bit. As tank, I have the super important job of dragging the boss away from the small blobs, otherwise the boss gets a massive shield. extending this fight for a lot longer. I think I did a good job as the blobs never touched the boss and I helped out slowing them with death and decay where I could. This boss felt quite harmless, otherwise almost a bit boring to be honest. I can't say the same about the bee boss though. As a tank I get fire puddles that I need to put on the side, but towards the end I got distracted by the ads spawning. I put the puddles all over the place, which is bad because the bees seem to get a shield from them standing in the puddles. I weirdly really struggled with the last boss, aiming the cone at the big barrels. I just couldn't see what I'm doing properly and was hit by several fire waves as well. It was annoying, but we got through it. I finally did get loot here, but it was champ shoulders, which I didn't need. I timed a floodgate and a dark flame cleft too as well, but nothing worth mentioning happened in those dungeons, had maybe 1 or 2 deaths, and no loot of course. Now, for the dungeon you all probably waited for. Priory of the Sacred Flipping Flame. Many keys fall apart right at the start, usually due to tank failures. Let's see how I fared. I did proc Purgatory and every other life-saving proc I have, but I got through it, and I was proud of myself. To be honest, I practiced this pull in a Mythic 0 first, and it was a billion times easier. The +2 modifier made a huge difference, which surprised me a lot, but I did it, and nobody died. Going up, I wanted to skip the patrolling links pack. I watched 3 people come through, and because I can't count, I thought that's everyone. I didn't pull that big patrolling pack because I know it's important to get those out of the way, otherwise the mini-boss will spawn on them. And then, of course, who else but the hunter was unaccounted for and pulled the lynxes anyway. Then the warlock bot pulled the other lynx pack next to us. Then I do a bit of a crazy pull by pulling everything including the caster mini-boss, which proves to be really annoying and sloppy because nobody interrupts.
Reflect.
Then the mini-boss gets healed up twice because nobody, including me, interrupts the boss to get out of the circle. I'll probably never do this pull again. After the first boss, I wanted to pull a lot more than I could, but those paladins kicked my teeth in so fast, holy shit. I procced Purgatory pretty much immediately. Those were not kidding around. After the second boss, the warlock disconnected mid-combat, and he never returned. We had to foreman the rest of this dungeon, which made it a bit of a slog, but we got this far and were doing okay, so it's whatever. I finally do get an upgrade in the form of champion wrists, and a compliment from the hunter, even though I don't think I did very well, but hey, if it made him happy, I'll take it. I forgot to mention that from the puzzling Cartel chips, I ended up buying the Jester's diamond ring. I thought long and hard about this, and the reason for it was that our best in slot trinkets drop from dungeons, and I thought there is no point wasting the Cartel chips on those, and I'll never get the ring by any other means. The first vault on the Blood DK proved my thought process right, because we got indeed one of our best in slot trinkets in the vault, so I was really happy with that. You can now buy champion boxes for 350 Valor Stones at the vendor next to the portal room, and I bought two. One gave me a champion helmet and the other a trinket with leech. I upgraded everything I could afterwards. So, our end result this week is an item level of 644 and 1327 score. So far I found Blood DK actually a bit tough to learn, to be honest, but I think I'm doing okay. I haven't died yet, so that's a good sign, I'd say. I hope you enjoyed this first episode despite it being a bit longer. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you'll tune in for the other episodes as well. Subscribe for more WoW content and consider becoming a channel member. See you all in the next one. Bye bye!